I imagine at one time you were this brilliant little child. As we enter into adulthood, what was brilliant in childhood can actually get in the way of you living the life you want to live. Hello, friends. I'm Nancy Houston. I want to help you live a better life. We're all emotional creatures who sometimes think. And so it's so important that we make this journey from our heads into the depths of our hearts. Welcome to the In-Between with Nancy Houston. Hey, good morning, everybody. I am so happy that you are with us. I have some amazing new friends to introduce you to. So I'm just so excited they are here with us today. And I'm excited that you're with us today because I want this podcast to speak into your life, to encourage you, to give you some hope, to meet your needs in some way or another. So thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to spend a little bit of time with us. So these are my new friends, Hope and Kadera Watson. Hello, my new friends. We met was it 2 months ago?
2 months ago.
Sounds about
right.
Yeah. You guys were at Tim Ross's launch of The Basement.
Yes.
And you're friends with Hector, and Hector is my producer, and friends with Julie, who does all our social media. So Hector and Julie, thanks for being here. Couldn't do this without you. Love you both so much.
Hey, love Hector.
that.
So we were up in the green room together,
Yeah.
and I mean, I just saw your faces, and I'm like, their faces just make me happy.
Oh,
You know, I love Oscar Wilde said, by the time you're 40, you two probably aren't close to 40 yet, but by the time you're 40, you have the face you deserve. I'm like, wow, Lord, okay.
that's awesome.
What's that saying about my face? But I saw you two's faces, and I'm like, I have to go over and say hi to them. Because you guys just bring me joy just looking at you.
Thank
And then I
you.
sat down with you and I'm like, oh my gosh, not only looking at you, but then getting to know you just a tiny bit made me just so happy. And like, this just made my night. I'm so happy that I came.
Yeah,
And of course I was happy for our dear friend Tim and
Yes.
all that's
Absolutely.
going on in his world. I love that man.
So
So,
awesome.
yeah, it was a joy to meet you guys.
It was great meeting
And
you.
then I started watching your crazy videos. And then I loved you more. I mean, I love how you guys humanize marriage and life, and you make it real and fun. And I think so many times in the church we've gotten a really serious view of marriage, like here are the 4 laws, and you better obey you better obey these 4 laws of marriage, or you're screwed. Oh boy.
Yeah.
You know, right?
That's so true.
And I don't think that's how marriage works.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Right?
Yeah.
So thank you for
you.
being here today. These people got up at 4 a.m. and flew from Oklahoma down to Dallas to be with me. So I feel very honored and privileged to have
excited.
you.
We're excited to be here.
In
Thank
my
you for
home.
the invitation.
Yes.
Oh,
Even though
gosh.
Hope hadn't seen 4 a.m. in a long
No,
time.
I don't know
Oh.
the last time I've seen 4 a.m.
Girl,
Listen.
like honestly, like I have rules.
Yeah.
No, I'm not coming that early.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
You don't want me getting up before. I'm like,
so
you might
worth it,
deep
though.
sleep at 4, aren't you?
Yeah.
I finally got there and I like it there. And I want
Yeah.
to stay.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No, but so
So
worth it.
I'm good with 6. I'm good
Yeah.
at 5:30, but no, not doing 4.
Even you saying 6 and 5:30, I'm like, ooh.
Yeah.
I'm like a 8 o'clock girl.
That's awesome. I like that.
Yeah.
I was raised by a dad who would yell up the stairs and say, "Daylight's burning in the swamp, you lazy kids, get out of bed." Daylight's burning in the swamp. I don't know, but we better get out of bed, and get going.
Get going. That's right.
Yeah. Well,
that.
thanks for being here.
No,
Thank you for having
You
us.
guys are such a blessing to so many. So,
Thank you.
how in the world did you even start making these wild videos of yours.
Gosh.
So tell us about that.
Yeah.
I've told the story so many times. I'll let you.
Oh, you want me to
Yeah,
tell it?
you tell
Okay.
it. You tell
Okay.
it.
I bet you have. I bet you have told this story.
Yeah, he has. So it was basically we got started COVID, right?
COVID,
2020.
pandemic, yeah.
Kid Errol was sent home, and like, you guys are going to work from home at this point. Like, nobody's coming into the office. So the days just started getting long. Like, we were looking at each other a little too much that, more than usual.
Yeah. Like, 'cause I was working in athletics, so
Yeah.
I'm used to 15, 16-hour days.
Yeah.
Such
So
long
now I'm now
days.
looking at her, and I'm like,
And our
what do we?
our apartment was this big, so it's like and it's not that we mind like being
Right.
on top of each other, but
all.
after a while,
Right,
it's kind of like, well, what are we
I
doing? Like,
know.
we need something
besides
to break
the good
up.
stuff that
Yeah,
we was on top of
Right.
each
Yeah, we
other.
were.
So I didn't mind that,
I
but
didn't
then
mind it
when we
either.
weren't doing anything, what else were we doing, right?
Well,
Right.
There's limits to
yeah.
all good things. You can only spend so much
Right.
time on top of each other.
That's true. But yeah, so we were like, well, we just started scrolling because at this
Yeah.
point we just want entertainment. Like,
Sure.
what are
Yes.
people doing out here? And so we kind of got into like the TikTok and looking at those, and I was like, Carol, we can do this. Like, let's do it and try to have some fun. And
Yeah.
at this point, I was like, let's just turn the camera on and see what happens. So like, we see
Wow.
this one TikTok and we're like, okay, let's do it. So it's like a dance or something like that, just
simple
something
dance.
simple.
Something crazy.
And so we posted it. Mind you, our Instagram beforehand, I think we started probably like 250
followers.
followers.
Yeah.
And it was at first just, oh, let's post where we're going to dinner, or let's do date nights, or
Right.
like just a place where like our family could see what we're doing, friends
Yes.
could see what we're doing, and all that stuff. And so then we posted the video, and it got a little traction, and we were like, oh snap, like
Ooh.
this is fun, right?
Yeah.
That feeling of,
That feeling
a little
of,
attention.
okay. But then it was like we did it again and again and again, and it started growing, and we started getting the comments of, I was depressed, but now I
Yeah.
looked at your video and I'm feeling better. Or, my grandmother just passed. I needed a sprinkle of joy on
Yeah,
today. And so
yeah.
we looked at those comments and we were like, oh my gosh, like, we can literally have fun and affect people in a positive light. Like, why not do it? So we were like, okay, mission time. Like, let's start cranking them out. And so we
Yeah.
cranked them out, and we had this one video that went viral. It was the Sierra video where we had like this broom, and we were like kind of recreating like her music video. And so that one hit the shade room, and our phones just started blowing up, and I was like, oh my gosh, like,
You're all over the internet. I see
like
here, I
family
see
started
that.
calling, friends started calling, and
Wow.
at one point, like, Instagram locked us out. Like, I don't know what
Yeah.
happened on Instagram,
Wow.
but like our account just got shut down for like a couple days.
Because we literally
Y'all were
shot up,
too
like,
much for
Yeah,
Instagram.
it was a little bit too much, and so I
You're
was like,
having
oh my
way too much fun.
yeah. So it was like, I think that one video we gained like 50,000 followers in like
Wow.
those 2 days.
3 days or something.
And it just kept growing and growing. And the more intentional we were with like kind of what we did, and we are kind of like sculpting, okay, well, what do we want to be? Like, what is our message?
Yeah.
And so now it's like finding fun and joy in marriage. And so it's like, now we're starting to get the comments of, you see so many separations and divorces.
Yeah.
It's great and refreshing to see that marriage can still be thriving and fun and like,
Totally.
just great. So that's our motivation, is just to spread joy, laughter, and inspiration. And
like you said, humanize marriage.
Yeah,
like,
humanize
we do have fights.
Yeah.
We are
Absolutely.
normal.
you
there
got-
are times where you
Yeah.
didn't see it. It didn't come out on Instagram because we probably were mad at each other.
Yeah.
And couldn't film.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because we're not the type where it's like,
Right.
okay,
We're not
cut it
faking
on.
it.
I cannot fake it. So it's
Yeah.
like,
Like,
well,
she
we
jumped
were
on
going
your
to do
back
the
a
video.
little harder
Yeah.
that time.
She not even jumping on my back because we're not even in the same
Yeah.
room. So it's like,
There you go.
we're not doing this.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Good.
it was one of those things. And like, it's
I
so
love that.
interesting because during that pandemic, it was, there were a lot of deaths. There were a lot of,
Yeah.
lot
Yeah.
going on, people
Such
losing
a
jobs.
serious-
Such
Yeah.
a serious
Oh, yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And for people to reach out, like, thank you for this because we need that, especially during this time. So now things have gotten back to normal, and it's still, thank you for this because it's good to just see
Yeah.
marriages looking like this, relationships
Yeah.
looking positive. There was one comment that was like, I watch you with my 9 and 12-year-old, and I love to be able for them to see a couple have fun together and
Yes.
see marriage in a positive light.
Yes.
So those are the things that kind of that motivation, like, wow, this is something where it seems silly to us. And it's just like, this is our natural us. Folks who've known us, they're
Yeah.
like, oh, that's Scudero and Hope.
That's
where they've been
so
since they
you
were in
too.
middle and high school. Like,
Yeah.
and that's normal. But for people
Yeah.
out there, that's not normal.
No.
And so to be able to try to normalize that and show the joy that can bring, and then spread that out.
Yeah.
That is beautiful. I was thinking how I love how your name is Hope. Like, what a purposeful name that, and you guys do. You just exude joy. I love that you're honest, that you also fight.
Yeah.
Couples better fight.
Yes.
If you aren't
They don't.
fighting,
something's up.
you know, something's not happening if you're not fighting.
Yeah.
Because really, you know, and I think if we're more aware of what we're fighting for,
That's good.
you know, it's not who left toothpaste in the bottom of the sink.
Right.
You know, it's not that. It's not sex. It's not money. It's not in-laws. It's not all those things. What we're really fighting for is, you know, can I count on you?
Yep.
Do you have my back?
Yeah.
Yep.
Are you really my person? Am I worth pursuing?
Yes.
And that's
Are
what
you
we're
thinking
really.
about me?
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Am I a priority to you?
Yep.
Or have I been put up on the shelf? You know, so good for you that you fight. So when you do fight, how do you fight?
Yeah.
Yeah. we are, I'm usually like, I want to get to it, like maybe process a little bit. I want to get to it.
Yeah.
I would say Hope is she's a thinker. We're like we talked about earlier, like boxing, like we're two boxers. We need to go to our corners
Yeah.
and chill out for a little
Yeah.
bit, think about it.
And
That's
I think like
so
for me,
wise.
it's because like I don't want to say the wrong things either, because I know like I can fly off the handle, and if
Yeah.
I don't process, I can say whatever.
On you.
So it's like, let me collect myself, let me process this. Holy Spirit, you deal with me. How do
Yeah.
I need to change or maneuver? What was my part in it? Like
Yeah.
it's so many things that go into it. So it's kind of like, give me a second. But I know like the day can't go by without us talking about it. So
Yeah.
it's a process that we just.
Yeah, and
Take
it's
it.
very unique because I'm also very non-confrontational. So it's for me, it's even hard to bring it up
Yeah.
because I'm like, I think I know what she's gonna say. I think I don't want to start an argument. But I'm
Yes.
feeling this way. But I don't like confrontation.
And
So
then
I
I get-
have that battle with myself of.
Yeah.
Do I
Yeah.
even start the argument? Because I know it's going
know.
to go there. It's going to be a heated fellowship, as
Yeah.
we call it. but I just don't want to go there today.
Yeah.
Heated
And that's when I'm like,
fellowship.
heated fellowship.
I gotta remember that one.
Yeah.
Like, let's have some heated fellowship.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. And then I'll,
you know, if you can reconcile your heated fellowship, then
Yeah.
you're likely to have better other heated fellowship.
absolutely. Heated in a great way.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there is passion.
Yeah.
And there's passion in arguing, and there's passion in your sex life together. And so if both those go flat and dull or avoidant,
Yep.
or they get overly volatile, or you say things
Yep.
that you know that, wait a minute, later I'm going to regret this.
Yep.
I'm going to say some really hurtful things. And so I love that you go to your separate corners for a timeout. Like we said, it's like boxers when they start hitting below the belt. Somebody says,
Yeah.
whoa, go to your
Yeah.
corners, dudes.
Yep.
You need to cool your jets.
I need a minute. Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
And for some of us, you know, we want to go more into maybe a freeze where we're like, oh, okay, I want to withdraw and be
Yeah.
quiet. And I don't like conflict. And some of
Yeah.
us go more into fight, like, oh, really?
Yeah.
You want to go for, we can do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can put my gloves on. So I love that you guys have learned.
Yeah.
Like,
And we're still
And we're still learning, because I'm
Oh,
like, you know, at the end of
right.
the day, I was like, Cadero, well, that's not fair to me, you know, because I don't know what you're thinking. I don't know what you're feeling. I don't know what changes need to be made. But it's like meeting each other where we are and trying to figure out how do we move forward in those moments. So.
And you said there's the fight, there's the freeze. What's the one where the people
flight.
pleaser.
Oh, yeah.
Right now I'm like, whatever you want.
Yeah.
Whatever it is you want.
Yeah.
All right.
And then you get
Like-
mad, like, don't say that. It's not whatever I want. Like,
Well, I think I know my husband will sometimes do that, like, oh, fine, whatever
Yeah.
you want. And I'm just like, well, then I can feel like I'm a total bitch.
yeah.
Like, I am so difficult that
Uh-huh.
you just have to fold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, I don't want you to fold.
Right. Right.
Like, I want you to fight with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, I want to know that this is worth fighting for.
Yeah. That's
So come on out
Yeah.
of the cave.
Yep.
Because sometimes he'll go into the man cave and I'm like
really?
pounding on the door like, hey, come on out. Like, at least fight with me.
Right.
You know,
Right.
let's do something.
Right. And
Don't-
that's so important for both sides to know,
Yeah.
is it worth fighting for?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of times where it becomes where I just want to give up.
Mm-hmm.
And there's too much of that. And I think that's being exemplified even in the world as
Yep.
I'm just going to give up.
Yeah.
Well, it's what we call a depressingogenic marriage, where the marriage becomes depressed
yeah.
because that hopelessness is settled in. And so that's why I love what you guys are doing. So many couples I see over the last 20, 25 years of seeing a lot of couples in marriage counseling is where their marriage is actually depressed and they've both just given up and gone to their separate corners. And so,
Yeah.
you know, honestly, I mean, from now on, I'm going to assign part of your homework
Yeah.
is watching every day with H and K. Because you need some laughter. We gotta get this marriage out of the pit.
Yeah.
Go and try it.
Try
you don't
it.
have to put it up on Instagram or any social media, but go try it.
Go
See if
have some fun.
Yeah.
See if they
'Cause
land
we've
on top of
actually
you.
Yeah. We've received some of those videos, like of husband and wives, like
Really?
they'll DM us, like that they attempted this
Oh my
challenge, or like
gosh.
a mother and son tried it, or like, and it's just so cool to see that like people are actually like recreating these things and it's bringing them together.
'Cause even our catch on is inspiring healthy relationships through love and laughter. So that relationship can, you know, for us,
Yeah.
it's that marriage, but it could be
Yeah.
a father son, a mother son, like mother daughter, or whatever it is that relation with yourself.
That's
Whatever that
so
relation, we're just trying to
great.
inspire some type of healthy relationship pattern, and we're gonna do it with love, and then we're gonna make you laugh, and through those two things, we hope that you are inspired to have
That's
better relationships.
amazing. One of the things we started doing on holidays with our family, we've got like 8 grandkids and 4 married sons. And so I bought this dodgeball. It's kickball. You know, we've got bases and got this big ball.
Oh, wow.
So for every holiday, we'll either put them out in the front yard or walk down to a park and set
I
up.
love that.
And
Yeah.
we play.
I love that.
And oh my gosh, it just brings our family together.
Yep.
It soothes over maybe some awkward places.
Yep.
Because, you know, like we're like every family where during COVID, there's some political differences. There's,
Yep.
you know, vaccination differences. There's all the differences,
Yeah.
which I welcome. I love it when, hey, you get to be you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you don't.
Yeah.
We don't all have to be alike,
Right.
but we have to learn how to be comfortable with being uncomfortable
Yes.
and not cut each other off.
Yes.
Which I think we're seeing a lot in the world we live in. Is like there's a lot of fragility towards conflict. You know, where it's like, no, we need to get more resilient. Like, hey, it's okay if we're completely 100%, 1,000%
Yeah.
different. We can still find a way to stay connected.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what you guys are encouraging people to do. Like, fun is a huge
It
connector,
is. It is.
right?
When you said that, made me think of like that. God looks for that childlike faith.
Yeah.
It's like that childlike imagination or innocence of play. Like we lose that sometimes as we grow up.
Yeah.
We can
As
get
kids,
so serious.
Kids get around,
Yeah.
they get that awkward, like they look at each other and they're like, but then they start playing. Like there's that awkwardness. We lose it, and then we just stay at this awkwardness as adults.
Yes.
And it's like, then we just walk away instead of just going like a kid and just, well, let's just play.
Let's play.
and connect and do
Right?
whatever. Like,
Oh, I love that. And, you know, I think we lost a lot of that during COVID, and we all became kind of socially awkward.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when we
Yeah.
started venturing back out in the world, and I'm like, I feel
Yeah. Like,
do I have any
still say
social
you're 6
skills?
feet.
yeah, so much as
I feel awkward. Do I know how to talk to people
Yeah.
anymore?
Yeah.
You know, and
was total
and
disconnect.
so I think you're so right. And you know, when kids used to play out in the streets, did you guys grow up being able to just play outside?
Yeah.
You know, that's where kids learn how to negotiate relationships.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they can get in fights, but then they have to make up because
Yeah.
you're who I'm gonna play with.
Yeah. Real quick.
And if I'm not talking to you, I'm not gonna have any fun for
Yeah.
like weeks.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, you are my fun. So we'd figure out how to make up. We'd kind of figure it out. And I think because kids don't get to go out and play anymore, really, or they don't, they're not
very
learning
true.
those skills.
That's very true.
So I love that you're actually teaching people these skills,
Yeah.
right?
I never thought about it like
Yeah, you're doing more. You're doing more than you know what you're doing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I love that. With a lot of couples in crisis, I'll say, "Okay, your homework for this week is to go have fun.
Yeah.
I don't care what you do.
Yeah.
I really don't care what you do. I wouldn't recommend that you make your first attempt at having fun, like getting in a kayak together,
Right.
because you're probably going to have power struggles.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it'll show who's in control and who wants the power.
Yeah.
And that's a big
Yeah.
issue in marriage, right?
Absolutely.
So don't
Yeah.
do that. But like, go do something stupid, like go bowling.
Yeah.
You know, where you just laugh
Yeah.
at yourselves and each other. I mean, bowling. We went bowling a few months ago with all of our kids, and it's like it is the best thing to go do. We
Yeah.
laughed so hard
Yeah.
at how
I'm sure.
ridiculous we are,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know. So, and that's kind of you guys' specialty. It's like,
Yeah.
let's kind of look ridiculous together.
Yeah. And that's like one of our dates. Like normally we, go to dinner or like something
Right.
like that. And I was like, we just need to go have fun. So we went to like a main event type of situation.
Oh, yeah, we did
And
that
we
for our
just
anniversary.
Yeah.
Like,
We
it was like, we don't want to do just a normal dinner.
casual dress. We just
So-
went like to main event, just did
Play
games,
games
and
and
yeah, it was
Oh,
hang out
just
that's
with
the
one another.
best.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Isn't
it
there
was
all
great.
this social pressure that date night for couples is like you get dressed up,
gosh.
you try to look sexy,
Right. Yeah.
You go spend more money than you've got.
Right.
You know, the heels are hurting your feet.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, let's do it every week too, because we need to
Yeah.
keep that consistent. It's like, yeah, those can't happen the way
No.
my budget is set
Right,
up.
like we need to be financially responsible, and like getting dressed up, it's great like every once in a while, but
Sure.
our personalities are just like,
No.
I don't know, like I think it was Valentine's Day. We're kind of like, we don't want to be with the crowds, like it's overcrowded.
Yeah.
So we like just pitched our toddler's tent in the living room, right? And we put lights on it. We did like a little palette. We like ordered like Italian food or something.
Wow.
And it was just like, we watched a movie and I was like, this is filling my cup.
So
Like this is all that I
romantic.
need. I was like, I don't need the streets. Like I just want my home and my man.
right.
So it was like it was
Right.
perfect. But just the chill, casual moments, I love those.
I love that too. You know, I think if anybody is listening and they're looking for a spouse, I'd say the number one thing is like find somebody who you feel at home with.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Like you're not feeling like, oh man, I got to impress this person. Not that
Right.
you don't want to bring your best self to the
Yeah.
relationship,
Yeah.
but somebody you can just feel at home with.
Yes.
You know? And yet we've got all these shows like where it's all, The Bachelor, all these shows, right?
Everybody's looking for
like Married at First Sight, all the
Yeah.
things. And it's
Yeah.
like all about these glamorous, it's not even real.
It's not about that either.
And I'm like, gosh, y'all, that's not,
Yeah.
I'm sorry that this is the impression that
Yeah.
you're getting. But that when I watch you guys, I'm like, oh my gosh, I love you so much because you show this couple doing it perfectly.
And we're total opposites.
and then you guys bring the real, and I'm like, oh, this is so
Yeah.
healthy.
Yeah. Because a lot of people will put up this facade that it's like picture perfect and it's great all the time. And we're like, it's not that. Like,
No.
it's not about the material stuff. And a lot of people will look at like our content. They're like, oh my gosh, I want what you guys have.
Yeah.
But it's like, are you willing to do the work to get it? Or are you willing to understand the principles that go with it? Or like, are you willing to like put all of the other stuff aside that you see on Instagram? Like, oh, he's gifting me this bag or doing this. And it's like, it's not about that.
No.
But it's like, they don't want to do the work to get to
Yeah.
the pure joy and authenticity.
So what's been some of the work that you guys have had to do to get to this place? Because I know it doesn't happen automatically.
Yeah.
No.
We all, I mean, man, when we get married, it's like we're so high on love drugs. We're literally high.
Yeah.
We are so high.
Yeah.
And then, you know, eventually the love drugs, it's not that they, you know, because I think that's why I'm such an advocate for marital sex and to keep that really on the front burner. Because when you have sex with each other, you release all these feel-good hormones.
Yeah.
And I think we need those to smooth out some of the places in marriage. Right?
Absolutely.
But at some point, you actually have to start digging in and doing the hard work.
Yeah.
So I know I kind of made fun of the, you know, like 5 laws of marriage or whatever. I don't mean to make fun of it because there are some things that I think every couple has to figure out for them.
Yeah.
Like, what's it going to take for you guys to create a marriage you both want to be in?
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that you've done?
I think the very first thing for us was friendship.
Yeah.
Because like you said, it's love.
Yeah.
At some point, love ain't gonna.
Right.
Love ain't knocking at the door right now.
Isn't it Tina Turner who's saying, what's love got to do with that?
What has love got to do with
Right?
this? When
Because at the end of the day, there wasn't a deep friendship
Yeah.
or safety.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so you're right.
And you find that safety in that friend.
Yeah.
When you don't feel like they're loving you or you don't feel like you want to love. Like
Yeah.
there is that safety in that friend. And when you really say, oh, that she's my best friend, I say that's real talk. I'm not just saying it because I'm her husband. No, like if something's going wrong in my life, I want her to be the first to know.
Yes.
When something's great, I want her to be the first to know. And so for us, that foundation of friendship was very huge because it was like, I like her. There's going to be the times where love is a choice.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't just, you don't fall and just stay. Like I choose to love her every day.
Yeah.
I choose to die every day to myself for her.
Yeah.
So, but I also like her. I look like, I like this woman. We have this friendship. And for us, we are blessed to say we've had it for over 2 decades. So I think for us, that's kind of our foundation. Of course, God, and then that friendship foundation. And then going into, you probably talk about God and our own personal relationship with God. Because now when we come together, we always talk about like this triangle of where we're on each tip. We're both striving for God. And as we're striving for God, we're coming together.
Oh, I love that.
So we need to have that relationship individually. So as we come together and do those things together, now we're really making some noise because now we both on fire for God and trying to do something together.
Oh, that's so sweet. I love that.
Yeah.
What a great description.
Yeah, like our communication is always something that we are working on, right? And so it's like being able to talk to each other, learning each other's styles, and knowing that, like, we always say we're evolving, right? So the same Kadero that I talked to, well, he's not the same Kadero that I talked to like 5 years ago.
No.
So it's like now adapting to who is this person becoming, and him communicating like, I don't like this anymore. Or, you know, like kind of when you say this, like it makes me feel this way. So it's like being open and honest with one another and being vulnerable with one another is something that like I have to listen and not just listen when he's talking and just like, oh, okay. But now, okay, how do I apply that to our next situation so that we're getting better? And it's not just talking that we're doing, but like walking it out like, oh, Hope, remember he doesn't like this, or he needs this in these type of moments, or like kind of writing. We have notes on our phone like Kadero needs this, and it's like
It's called Better Me.
Yeah, Better Me.
Better Me, and it's things we've talked about of
that.
this is what she needs from me and to be better at.
Yeah, so it's
So
like,
you guys are really describing like you're really attuning to each other, and there's enough room in your marriage to accept that you're both going to change and evolve.
Yes. And I think that's what you see nowadays is people are changing in their marriages and people aren't willing to grow with that person.
Yeah.
And so now they want to call it quits because, well, you're not who I married 10 years ago. I'm not supposed to be who
No.
you married 10 years ago.
Thank God.
I'm supposed to evolve. I'm supposed to get better and want different things out of life. So it's like,
So then you hear the term, oh, we grew apart. You grew,
Sure.
and y'all chose to stay apart in that process.
Yeah.
Not that you grew apart, you were both growing as you're supposed to.
Yeah.
But there was a choice that was made, or I'm not going to grow together.
Yeah.
You decided, well, what they've grown into, I no longer like.
I remember, you know, we have four sons, and so man, when we got in the thick of those teenage years, And those can be pretty stressful years. Like more people divorce when they have a 14-year-old in the home.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, just statistically.
Yeah.
And, marriage starts out here with happiness. And then, when kids enter in and the more you have, the lower your happiness can drop. Just because it can be, kids are wonderful and stressful.
Yes.
I wouldn't trade. I adore our children, you know, but marital happiness can drop.
Yeah.
And so most people's marriages can kind of bottom out during those teen years. And that's when a lot of people give up. And the thing I want everybody to know is, and we've lived through this because we've been married almost 50 years.
So awesome.
High school sweethearts.
Love that.
Right?
Yeah.
And so what the charts show is that I'll go to its bottom and then the nest starts emptying. And then if you will do the work to redefine your marriage, it's going to be work. Because you will have grown apart. I feel like we grew apart even though we said we never would. But it just was busy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? It was just, and there were a lot of, it required a lot of finances with 4 teens, braces, cars, insurance, college, sports, you name it.
Yeah.
And so there's just a lot going on. And then you're trying to help them navigate their emotions and how they're doing life and how they're learning how to handle like some of the stressors of life, like alcohol and sex and all those things, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, we kind of like the nest started emptying and we're like, ooh, what's happened to us?
Yeah.
And, even kind of assessing like, do I still like you?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a real question.
Do I still like you?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
But we decided, hey, we love each other.
Yeah.
I mean, for us, some days we're like, I don't like you right now.
Yeah.
But I love you.
Yeah.
And I'm committed.
Yeah.
And thank God for commitment.
Yeah.
Because it does right now it's a commitment holding us. Right?
And recognizing that commitment is about covenant.
Oh, such a covenant. It's not a contract.
Not
the
a
contract says,
Yep.
hey,
You breached.
you ain't doing for me what I've signed up for you to do for me, so I'm out.
This gives me clearance to leave. Yeah.
Right? That's what a contract does.
Yeah.
But a covenant says, man, through thick and thin, through the good, the bad, through, and I, about that same time, lost my health. And I was diagnosed with lupus.
Wow.
And so my poor husband was like, what happened to the woman I was married to? And we thought I was going to die.
Wow.
And so it was a really hard time.
Yeah.
And it was hard. And we probably needed to be in therapy at that moment because it was just more than we could manage.
Yeah.
And so, of course, my husband felt the way he expressed it was he seemed angry to me. But, most men haven't been taught how to grieve their sadness. So it was actually really sad that he didn't know if I was going to live.
Yeah.
And so it came out to me like I'm like, why are you so angry?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And so finally we actually did go to marriage counseling. And he's like, Ron, you're really pissed that your wife is sick and you don't know if she's going to live.
Yeah.
And you're actually sad, and we've got to find a way to process your grief because you're coming off as really difficult for her, and it's too much for her to manage. How am I going to get my health back? How am I going to navigate this with my career?
Yep.
How am I going to navigate this in our marriage? And I just felt overwhelmed.
Wow.
Yeah. And at first, Ron was resistant to going to counseling. Like, I'm not going to counseling. And I'm like, okay. Well, then I'm going to have to call a timeout from you.
Yeah.
Because you just feel angry. And I love you.
Yeah.
I'm committed to you for our whole entire lives. I want to die with you
Yep.
someday when we're old.
Yeah.
Hopefully in each other's arms at the same time.
Yeah, right.
Like the Notebook.
No.
That's how we want to go. Right?
Yeah.
That's my desire. But right now, this is more than I can do.
Yeah.
My immune system's shot. And with you being angry, it's not helping. And so, I think I'm just going to go. We're both from Oregon. I'm like, I think I'm just going to go up there and stay for a while. So I go in my room and I get on on the phone. He comes in and goes, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm on the phone with the airlines. I'm buying a one-way ticket." And he's like, "Okay, fine. I'll go to counseling." I'm like,
wow.
"Oh, okay." Click. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And, it just kind of took that.
Yeah.
And that was honestly like the lowest point of our marriage. And it's true what they say. Then I got my health back, and we emptied our beautiful, lovely nest. And I'm like, marriage, they say if you'll do that work, marital happiness will be higher than it was when you were newlyweds. And I'm like, man, it is. I love this man of mine so much. And I'm like, God, I'm so glad I didn't give up.
Yes. Yes.
In those,
You
around
made the decision.
those middle years, so that now we can have these amazing older years together.
Yeah.
It's the best ever.
I love that.
And, you'd think at our age, like, late 60s, that I'm like, hey, sex is awesome.
Yeah.
It keeps getting better and better. I know y'all don't believe me, but it does. And it can,
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love what you two are saying. Like, you built this friendship. And sometimes you have to go to your separate corners because you have different ways of processing. But that's okay. You can accept that. What other things have helped you guys?
I would say that what I think all encompassing in that is that self-awareness in it all. Kind of learning myself, looking for those traumas. I think this year for us is therapy is something that we want to do. Like we've never had couples therapy or individual.
Yeah.
And I think we both have recognized different traumas in our life.
Yep.
That's like, that's why though I
That's
do
where that
this.
stems from.
That's what,
Yeah.
And so having that time of self-awareness and being able to right now even talk it out, because we're recognizing and we're talking it out right now, and then even taking the step of therapy as well. But it's kind of already nice to be able to say, maybe this is what.
Yeah.
And I just did that. I think
Yeah.
this comes from that or time my pops wasn't around, and I just don't feel like the man that I should be, or different things like that. So I think that's been very helpful during this time.
That's a golden nugget you just gave us. Because you're right, when we haven't dealt with our past traumas, and I had a boatload of trauma growing up. I mean, and mine surfaced when I was 32. I think it's kind of a common age around in your 30s for trauma to start surfacing.
Yeah.
In the 20s, I was just so happy to be out of my household, live with a man that I felt safe with, because I didn't grow up with a safe father. A lot of physical abuse, sexual abuse, all the. I honestly think, looking back now, I was watching a story about an alcoholic the other day, and he just blacked out and would beat his kids, and he didn't know it. And I'm like, I think that's what my dad would do. Wow. I mean, sometimes he was sober and would still beat his kids, but I think a lot of the worst abuse was he was probably just totally blacked out and had drank so much. Yeah. Right. So I had a lot of trauma, so I got to deal with that in my 30s. Ron had his own set of stuff, and we've noticed that the more we attune to when the adaptive child takes over, because the adaptive child is that kid inside of you that survived whatever traumas you had to survive. But that adaptive child also, even though they're brilliant little children who helped us, in adulthood it becomes maladaptive when they take over, when they get in the driver's seat. Because then they're black and white, right or wrong. It's my way or the highway. Or I just shut down. I'm just can't talk to you right now. And it's those past traumas that need our attention, that need some love, that need to be attended to and cared for. And a couple of weeks ago, Ron and I have been talking a lot about when our adaptive children take over. And I just said to him, he gets really over responsible. And then he gets real uptight about finances And Nancy, are you doing everything right? And I'm like, oh, I don't know.
Right.
Could you back up?
Right.
That'd be coming in hot and heavy, babe. And not in a good
funny
way.
thing, that sounds like me. Finances and that over responsible. Like I need to fix it.
Yes.
That's me, because I was growing up. Finance was always an issue, and I was always looked at as kind of lazy. So I was like, oh no, I'm not a lazy man.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna fix this and show you I can do the work.
Yeah.
So yeah, that sounds very similar, Ron. So we got that. I got you. I understand that.
And I partly I can have a lot of empathy for it, because I do think, even though like Ron and I both work, I think he feels a greater responsibility for our financial future and security than I do. Mm-hmm. I can be a little more on the here and now. Yeah. Do I have money in my account right now?
Yeah.
Can I buy that? I'm like, oh, I'm good. Let's go.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
Where he's looking out for us long term, which I appreciate. So I get why men can feel that way. Mm-hmm. And I have empathy for it. At the same time, on the other end, it can feel like, I need to fix you.
Yeah.
And you need to get in line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And nobody really likes that feeling.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we were having this conversation, and I just pulled up an empty chair in front of him. I said, hey, baby, how about if you talk that little boy inside of you that felt so responsible?
Wow.
And felt like you had to fix things and felt like there's never enough money. How about if you could you picture that sweet little boy?
Yeah.
And have a conversation with him.
Wow.
And he did. Mm-hmm. And I am telling you, that sweet little boy has just calmed down.
Wow.
And so my man has calmed down.
Yeah.
And it has alleviated the tension that we, that could kind of be our pattern.
Yeah.
Where he'd go to the over-responsible and, Nancy, you need to get in line. And I'm over here going, I don't really want to get in line.
Yeah.
I don't want to be fixed. I don't want to feel like I'm a problem to be fixed.
Right.
Right. Nobody does.
Yeah.
And then I could probably try to fix him too. Mm-hmm. Like, you need to back off, or it, just didn't work.
Yeah.
Not a good dynamic.
Yeah.
But it's really just our little adaptive children who get scared and take over.
Yeah. That's so good.
Yeah.
That's
so
good.
thank you.
Yeah.
Every marriage needs to do that kind of work.
Yeah.
Because we all do that, and then we can find ourselves in these relational patterns that aren't fun.
Yeah. That part, yeah.
And it's like, why do we keep doing this?
Yeah. And I think, too, it's like the self-awareness piece, like having our little girl now.
Yeah.
It's like, what are we modeling for her? What is her household going to feel like as she grows up? Like, I remember mom and dad did this, or, we let her, she'll be 2 on Sunday, right? But like, she'll be there when we have heated fellowships, not as like, they're never like harsh, but like heated fellowships, but she also sees the makeup process. And it's like that showing her, you can be expressive and show, how you feel in this moment, but you can also see some people come back together and know that it's going to be okay. Like just verbalize how you feel and just see, that they can
and
reconnect.
It's so cute because when we make up, we're like, you're good, and then we hug, and then she'll run up and
she'll hug us all. And she'll be like, love you, mama, love you, dada. It's the cutest thing. But of course, we're guarded with what we say around her and all of that stuff. But just to show her and let her know that it's okay to feel your feels and know that it's going to be okay. Just reconvene. And
man, I wish every kid could see that. How many parents are like, oh, if we're going to disagree, we got to go to our room. Can't do it in front of the kids. I'm like, then kids never see conflict resolution.
Yep.
Never. And then we all get to be adults and we're like, I don't know how to resolve conflict.
Right. Yeah.
Conflict? Could we please just not have it?
Yeah.
It's like, no, you got to have conflict.
Yeah.
So, wow, you guys, who taught you how to do that?
I think it's a thing of, us wanting to model the things that we didn't have.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
so
We were probably
cool.
in that realm of,
Yeah.
I'm going to do everything I didn't see. Not,
Yeah.
it was modeled. It was like,
Yeah.
I wish I had that. So
Yeah.
let's do that.
Yeah.
That's amazing because, sometimes it's one thing to say, I'm going to do everything different. But it's another thing to know how to do it.
Yeah.
So how'd you guys actually learn how to have healthy conflict?
I think that's kind of honestly trial and error. Like
Yeah.
scientists going in the
I was
lab
about to
and
say,
like pouring and that blew up.
That one,
That one again. And just trying to see what worked. Like
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so good.
that time around, no, that didn't work out. You only told me half truths, or
Yeah.
you didn't express everything you were feeling in that moment. We said, oh, we're good, but then you bring it up
yeah.
a day later. Wait a minute, I thought we were like those different trial and
Yeah.
error of figuring that out to see this works for us, this doesn't. I think I think how we kind of
That's so good.
yeah.
I would agree 100%. Like, I wish I had like the ways to
Like a
teach and show
blueprint,
like a
actually.
blueprint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, the way he said it is really the way it happens. It's just that did not work, or I know not to do that again, or I know not to say that again, or, this is what I need from you next time. And so it's kind of like just communicating that. And we're still working on it. Like, we're still
Yeah.
trying to figure out.
Yeah.
I think we're in
As
a place now of like we working together. So with H&K, it's become a brand, and so we're now working together. And my background of work, even when we first started, my background work 16-hour days. She's used to 8 to 5. So when when it's 8 o'clock at night, I'm like, whoa, we got to keep going. We got to push. We got to hustle.
Absolutely
No,
not.
we not. Like we gonna sit down. We gonna eat dinner. We gonna watch a movie or something.
Yeah,
That's
we
what
are.
gonna
Turn the
do.
comments off. Like,
yeah, we're gonna turn this off. Like
Oh,
setting
that's-
those boundaries.
yeah, or not taking offense to something. And I think that's where we're at now, because her word is most important to me. So when she says it, it hits harder. So it's like I gotta learn. She's just making a comment, and you don't have to get defensive or take offense. It's now take it with curiosity of she asked a question.
Yeah.
But she just wants to know, how do you think? Whereas not like I take it as, oh, she don't like what you're doing.
Yeah.
And so we're working through that piece even now.
And on my
Like,
part, it's like the delivery of it all, right?
Yes.
Because I'm the type of person, I shoot it so straight, and I'm just like blunt, and like my mom always says, like, growing up, Hope, be a little bit more tactful. I'm like, but it is what it is. Like, just say, like, just, let's just talk straight out, where it's like, some people don't need that all the time.
Right.
And it's like, now me knowing how Kadero values my word, and now me making the adjustment to say, okay, if I say it like this, once again, I'm processing. If I say it like this, he probably won't receive it the best. So it's like taking in those mental notes is kind of like what we're working on now.
That is so good. I really appreciate what you guys are saying. You said several things. Number one was honesty.
Yeah.
Excuse me, honesty, because if you fragilize your partner, like, oh, I don't think he's strong enough to hear this, or I don't think she's, so I bet I can't be honest. It's like, whoa, then it's, it's going to do, it's going to come out sideways.
Yeah. Yep.
And that ain't pretty.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're going to end up with a
Anything
lot of
worse.
resentment.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the saying? The problems we avoid are the problems we create. Right?
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So honesty and not fragilizing your partner.
Yeah.
And editing your words.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Yeah.
And realizing that your words have power.
Yeah.
So how am I going to say this?
Yeah.
Do you all, maybe you're all too young, but I love that movie, 3 Men and a Baby.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that? And Tom Selleck, this big stud of a man, is holding the baby and reading her Sports Illustrated.
Yes.
And one of the dudes is like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "It's the tone. It's the tone.
It is the
less
tone.
than it is the content."
Yeah.
I remember one couple I worked with. He said, "I cannot stand her tone, and I want to divorce her because of her tone."
Wow.
And so we worked together. But she absolutely refused to change her tone, and he divorced her. And I'm like, wow, that 3 Men and a Baby, that there's some truth there.
Yeah.
It's more than we know. And it goes both ways.
Yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
I hate the way, I heard a joke the other day, and it's funny. They were talking about sex and said, men, if you want to have great sex with your wife, you need to do this and this and that. Oh, man, there's a list. I mean, you need to buy her jewelry. You need to wine her and dine her. You need to, oh boy, there's a list, right? And then it was like, and women, what you need to do is just show up naked and bring food. And, it's funny, right? It's funny.
Right.
Like, I laugh,
Yeah.
right? It's like, it's funny. It's true. I laughed. I laughed. But then I thought about it. And I'm like, man, it makes women sound like we have to have all the stars perfectly aligned.
Yeah.
Because we're so persnickety if you want to have sex with us.
That's a good word, persnickety.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
And then men are, I'm sorry, but this kind of how it sounds to me like, and men are such morons that it's just about their penis and stomachs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is not, that is demeaning
Yeah.
for both men and women.
Yeah.
Because, Kadero, you feel her words. You feel them, and you feel them deeply.
Yeah.
And men are deep wells. And so we women don't always understand. We haven't been taught that we can cut them
Yeah.
like a knife with our words.
Yeah.
And our words for females are our greatest weapon. So sometimes when we want to cut, we'll get that little knife out
Yeah.
and start slashing away.
Yeah.
Because it is our greatest weapon. Men have twice the body strength, upper body strength. And so we feel our vulnerability. So we learn how to use our tongues. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, God, we just, heck, I can do it. I can out wordsmith.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's our mightiest weapon.
And Hope is a wordsmith.
Right?
Yeah, you are a wordsmith. But it was funny you said we are deep wells. I think that's for men, like that whole bottle of emotions, and we don't. Like, it's like sitting at a well until you cut. Then you like, I'm just gonna jump in. I'm gonna stay right here.
Yeah.
To the point where I'm gonna just go deeper into the well. So I'm down in this well, and I'm just gonna sit here, looking up. At eventually, I may come out. I may not.
Yeah.
And that's where the emotion is of it. I'm in this deep well because the constant remark or the constant tone is like, I'm just gonna sit down in a well, and I'm gonna probably need my wife to throw that rope to get me out.
Oh, that's so good.
And I think that's why you find men that need that words of affirmation.
Yes.
That's a big love language for men is because of that.
That's so good.
They need the words from people, and you want it from your wife. You don't want it from people, because then that's where things get wrong. Because if the wrong woman come up with that affirmation, then that's where
Things get tricky.
things can get dicey. And I think it's very important for men to understand that well that they have created, and then women understanding the well that they could be in.
Well, and I love this idea that men are deep wells.
Yeah.
And men have been taught you better darn well protect your emotions.
Yeah.
You don't put your emotions out there unless you want to get slayed.
Yeah.
Boys are taught from such a young age, buddy, suck it up. You don't put that out there,
Yeah.
right? So they're taught to really guard
Yeah.
their emotions. So you're right. Those emotions are deep down, deep in the bottom of this well.
Yeah.
And we women have to learn how to wait for it
Yeah.
and invite it
Yeah.
and make it safe for him to bring some of those emotions up. Where, sometimes we'll ask like 30 questions in a row.
Yeah.
And he's like,
Whoa. Whoa. Yeah.
I haven't got my bucket lowered to see
Yeah.
what's down there because I don't know, first of all, if it's safe. Right?
That's so true.
And we women, we had more permission to feel what we feel. And so our emotions are typically right under our skin. We can access them
Very
like
quickly.
that.
Yeah.
And then, so we access really quickly. Men have to have some real time and safety to access. We both need safety,
Yeah.
right? That's a key to marriage. Is
Yeah.
Absolutely.
how can I be a safe person for you to really show up? So I like to ask myself, am I being a safe person for him emotionally right
Yeah.
now?
Yeah.
And sometimes the answer is probably no.
No. Yep.
I mean,
That's
just in
real.
all honesty,
Yeah,
like,
that's real.
no, you got your sword out.
Yeah. Just tuck it away.
Right. Yeah, okay,
Yeah, okay,
let's
I'll
put
tuck
this
it away.
I'll put this back in.
That's so
Cool
true.
our jets.
Yeah. That's so true. So
Let's
true.
not emotionally vomit every feeling I'm having.
Right. Oh, and that's so good because I just told Kiddo I had the realization like the Holy Spirit deals with me sometimes even in our heated fellowships.
Yeah.
And he's like, you don't need to say that right
Yeah.
now. But it's like the fight in me is like, but I want to say it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so it's like I told Kiddo, I said, I have to realize that I have to tame my emotions and know what to say, when to say it.
Yeah.
And I had to repent because I'm like, Holy Spirit, you told me something and I totally went against the grain and I said even more than I was going to say originally. So it's like knowing how to tame those emotions and yeah, it's
That's
work.
a whole thing. It is work.
Yeah.
It is work. And
Yeah.
I love something else that you guys talked about is we're meant to be ever developing. In my field, we call that adult development. And so many people think, oh, I'm grown up. I'm an adult now.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, no. You've just begun.
Yeah.
Right.
You did childhood development. Now
Yep.
you get to do adult development.
Yeah.
And I hope you're doing it until you're 95 or however long
You live.
you have to live. And that's why we're never done.
Yeah.
And I don't think we ever have marriage figured out.
No.
It's, I mean, like we're still, right?
Yeah.
All
Absolutely.
the time. And that's why there aren't any formulas because the way you two figure it out is going to be different than how us two
Yeah.
figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You're two very unique individuals, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So true.
Anything else that's been big for you guys? Like you've got a little one. How do you keep
Yeah.
your sex life alive? I mean,
Right.
Well, I praise
boy.
God. There's no problem at all. in that.
There
Oh,
is
good.
not
And it's
one
funny.
problem.
I think we
why
said
do you
that-
think that is, though?
I think intentionality. Like we intentionally want to have sex
There
with
you
each
go.
other. And
There
it's
you go.
like we know the connection that it brings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, okay, she's down for a nap or she's
Yep.
she's down at
Yep.
nighttime.
and I work
or-
from home.
Yeah.
So,
So
it's
I'm like,
Nap
Kiddo.
time's great time. There you
You
go.
know?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah.
Good
And we'll
for
find
you.
ourselves like you said, like, I want to be on that where honeymoon phase all the time.
Yeah.
And better when she like, and we'll find those times like, we're like kids. Was that the
Yeah.
third time today? What
Yeah.
just-
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
What is
Oh,
going on?
But let me tell you. Okay, so we bought recently.
Did you see all that, everybody? She's
I
so
know.
cute.
I'm
She's
ready
"Here
to
we
tell the
go.
story."
I'm getting warmed up. Here we go.
But for Christmas, we were like, oh, okay, let's buy. So we bought a massage table because I was like,
Yeah.
oh, well, you know, this will cut. I don't have to go. If you're willing to rub
Yeah.
me down,
Yeah.
we could save, you know, hundreds of
totally.
bucks, you know?
We have one of those too.
Oh, do you?
Oh, yeah. Everybody, all couples, you should have a massage
Yes.
table.
That,
Yep.
listen.
Listen.
that first
It-
night of massage.
Woo! It's
That
good.
massage was massaging.
Honey,
Yeah.
we need to get ours back out.
Yeah. I'm telling you, because it was. I'm telling you, it started one way and
Yep.
you
There
know,
go.
it just skyrocketed. So
There
I
you
was
go.
like, if you are married, the massage table is
Oh.
not a bad idea.
Well, touch.
Yes.
Oh, I mean, you know, that's why we can be so happy dating and in early marriage because there's just a lot of touch.
Touching.
You just touch.
Yep.
You know, you can't keep your hands off each other.
Yeah.
And that's super important for her.
For me,
Like that.
yeah.
we call
Oh,
it
yeah.
love language, physical
I'm like,
touch is
yeah.
that. And
Also-
not just when it's us. When we're around people,
Yeah.
I want
Yeah.
you to touch me,
Me
smack
too.
my butt when
I
you walk
love-
by. Like, I want it all.
There's nothing better than when
Yeah.
we're in public and Ron puts his hand on the small of my back and
Yeah.
kind of like guides me into a room. And I'm like, ooh,
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah.
You're
I'm
hot.
telling you.
Yeah,
Daryl
right?
touched me last night and I was like, we got to get up at 4:00.
Yeah.
But then I was like, do it one more time. Let me just feel,
Yeah, go
let me just
ahead.
feel your touch one more time before
Yeah.
we go to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was just,
We fall asleep. Ron
Yeah.
puts his hand on my back, on the
Yeah.
small of my back, because I sleep on my side. And,
Yeah.
and I'm like, could you just put your hand on my back? And if he does, I just go right to sleep.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like, wow, you're like my love drug.
Uh-huh.
Something you guys said, though, is so good because we've gotten this idea that sex should be spontaneous, but you guys make it a priority.
Yeah.
That is key.
Yeah.
Keep it on the front burner. Make it a priority. Don't wait for spontaneity. Don't.
Yeah.
If you wait for spontaneity,
Yeah.
you may never have sex.
Have it. Right.
You
Right.
know, it's something you gotta fan
Yep.
the flame,
Yeah.
and you gotta keep fanning
Yeah.
that flame. If you don't, the flame goes off.
Yep.
And I've noticed, like they say, and I've noticed this to be true. Like I had surgery a few years ago, so you know it's like a while till we could have sex again, and it's kind of like an airplane. You know, I remember who was it? You know, the Huxtables, and he's explaining to his son about homework.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's like a plane taking off, son. Do you guys remember
Yeah,
this?
we know that
I love
episode.
that. I've never forgotten that. Theo.
Yeah,
Just tell
Theo.
Theo.
Yep.
Okay. Theo, buddy. If you're always taking off and landing,
Yeah.
it's a lot of work.
A lot of fuel.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
But if you take off and keep the plane in the air,
Yeah.
it smooths out.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm like, I'm such an advocate of like, hey, you know, have sex frequently enough that the connection is there.
Yeah.
And not like you're two strangers starting over.
Yeah. So
Right?
important.
Like
yeah.
keep this thing alive.
Yeah.
And I don't mean you have to be having intercourse, but like kiss and play
Yeah.
and fondle and have fun and
Yeah.
see where it goes. That's probably what happened with the massage table.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were giving me a foot rub. I thought you were giving me back rubbing. Ooh. We're
Gave
rubbing
me
all
so
kinds of
much
things
more.
now. Right?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
So I love that. You make it a priority. Yeah. Boy, having a great marriage takes a lot
It does.
of priority.
It does.
That part.
It
That
does.
part.
That part.
I'm going to prioritize you. I'm going to prioritize us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a big learn for me, I think, in
Yeah.
our marriage.
Really?
Just because, you know, for us growing up, God was always first. But then in getting married, understanding her as my priority. And then thinking about what God did. And as he said, we, you know, as a husband, like, you love your wife as Christ loved the church. And it was just that thought of, that's a priority. That means everything is put to the side.
Yeah.
God gave his only son and said, here, being crucified for your people. Like, dying to myself every day for her and being like, she's priority. So when it came to work, if something happened with her, is she my priority? If people are around and I'm getting pulled, is she my priority? And I had to learn that, especially in a industry that I worked in, athletics, where you're pulled in one way and there's the expectation you're there all the time. And so that moment of coming out of that, it was a freedom of knowing that she is my priority and I'm gonna choose her. And God will honor that. And he showed himself faithful in that.
I mean, because honestly, like when he was in athletics, like me as a wife, like I see him serving this coach or I see him serving the players or like he's doing everything for everybody. But it's like I'm at home like, hey, I'm right here.
be
Like
served.
I like to, you know, and it was kind of like, even we had that conversation when it came to like date nights. He was like, well, what do you want to do? This old Cadero now, this is new Cadero. He's like, well, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I don't know, just plan something. You know, you want that?
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, well, I don't know. I don't feel like it or something. And I'm like, you plan for work every single day. I was like, the least you could do is plan a date. Like, this is your normal activity. And so I think he kind of, like, he grasped it at one point, and he's like, when he started making me a priority, it was just such a relief. Like, I feel like I'm being seen. I feel like I matter now. And like, it was just, I'm grateful that, you know, athletics served its purpose and its time, but now that he's out of it, like, it's been taken up a lot of notches. So I'm just like grateful for that.
Oh, I can see that, you guys. It's like a woman blossoms when she really knows that her man is willing to prioritize her.
Yeah.
Because he can be pulled in a lot of different directions.
Yeah.
But when he's like, nope, you're number one.
Yeah.
I think that's why, and I'm not sure we talk about this enough, why God says, for this reason, a man will leave.
That's
so good.
right? A man
good.
will
Yeah.
leave and cleave to his wife.
Yeah.
And so it's really the man who God is saying, dude,
Yeah.
you're going to have to shift
Yeah.
what's
That's good.
important to you
Yeah.
onto her. And if you make her your number one priority, I'll figure out all the rest of the stuff for you.
Yeah. That's so good.
And that's hard to do because if you think about society, it's
No.
always the man, the woman saying, "Oh, he's going, I'm going," I'm
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
I'm gonna do to make sure he's good because of
Yeah.
maybe a career.
Yeah.
But like you said, like kingdom is upside down, so it's a man leaving.
I know.
Yeah.
So is he willing to say, nope, we're going to stay here. God's called me
Yeah.
here and I'm going to be here and so we can build us or
Yeah.
come out of something or do like whatever that may be
Wow.
to say, I'm going to stick with you because you are my main priority.
So you guys have experienced it both ways. Because I understand, I've got a son who's in the coaching world. And yes, 16-hour days are normal.
Yeah.
And weekends.
Yeah.
Oh,
And holidays.
all the time.
Yeah.
It's a very demanding field.
Yeah.
And so that was the bigger priority for a while, but then something shifted.
Yeah.
What has that done for you, Hope?
Oh gosh, it's like you said, like it has nourished me in a way that like I've never seen before, and to have him be present, more present, because like you said, like 16-hour days. There's times he'd leave at 4:45, 5 o'clock in the morning, doesn't come home till 11, and then it's like, okay, well, can you at least give me 30 minutes? Like, can we at least like debrief or talk? And then he's, with still wanting to be sensitive to, well, he has to wake up at 5 the next day. So it's like, I go back and forth with, okay, I need this, but I know you also need this. But it's the shift when it happened, it's just been like, it's been something that I'm just truly grateful for, because I know that what we wanted probably wouldn't have happened in the timeline that it's happened if he would have stayed in athletics. And so it's given me family now. It's given me stability. It's because we would move all around. It's been like, we have roots now. I feel stable. I feel safe. I feel seen. I feel heard. So it's like, I'm getting all of that in these moments. And I'm just like thankful to God. Like there's many times, and I don't know what it is about our bedroom. I've always loved the bed. Well, y'all know I like to sleep, but I've always loved just like laying in the bed. A lot of my time with God is spent in the bed, just laying down. And anytime I walk into our bedroom, I'm just grateful because I'm like, I have my best friend, I have my husband, I have my daughter that we've prayed for a very long time. And I'm like, we have community that we're building. Like life just feels so good. So for him to prioritize me in that way of saying, okay, I know I've been in athletics for over a decade, but what God is calling me to and what I feel like you need, I'm going to surrender to that. And so it made me just feel like, my God, you've heard me.
Wow.
So I'm grateful for it. It's the best feeling.
Yeah. I think we told Ron, even on our way here, like it was that obedience that God honored and showed himself faithful. Because in that moment of the decision to say, come out of athletics, we had just finished up our second cycle of IVF and it failed. So we are now 11 years in of infertility, IUI, IVF, failed cycles, 2 miscarriages. And we're like, well, like people think like IVF is like the one like you're spending a lot of money and
Like, it should
this
work.
should work.
That's
Like,
what you think.
You're taking this and you're gonna do that.
And it doesn't always work.
And it doesn't always
No.
work. And it was like, okay, for her, it was like, I'm gonna take a break in this moment. Like I don't want to do this. And then here comes this 2020 and the pandemic, and it was like, now I'm spending a lot of time and I feel this like I like being around her. This is cool being home. And then the decision to do it, which was super hard for me because I found identity in me in athletics. I did it all my life from the time I was a little kid playing football to even after I heard I work in it and then I stay in it all up to now. And I'm like, well, what do I do, God, if I'm not doing it? Like, what else is there? And I remember crying on the floor one day. She finds me like, what's going on? And I was like, I just don't know what to do. But I told God I need a Gideon moment. So I need you to, if I get up, I need this thing to be wet, the ground to be dry and this to be wet. Like, I just need you to show me. And he showed himself. When I don't know at what point he saw that I made the decision that I'm gonna do it, but when he did it, he brought about a job.
Wow.
We decided we were gonna get a house, and at that time we lived in Chicago, and we bought a condo, and then we found out we were pregnant, and we were naturally pregnant.
You guys.
After 11 years and doing all that, we conceived naturally. So it was just like
the decision
right after the
made.
decision.
Yeah.
This is like, wow, God, like okay, all this is happening within a month's time.
Yeah.
That's
So it's like,
incredible.
Okay,
Ooh.
okay,
I like to call it that tender surrender. You know, where we just kind of like, okay, Lord.
Yeah.
Not because you're forcing me, but because you're inviting me.
Yeah.
You know, and you just surrendering and saying, okay, Lord, I give it up, man.
Yeah.
And that's always a huge wrestling match. It's never comes easy.
Yeah.
You guys, you suffered.
Yeah.
There are 11 years there of wanting children and that not happening for you.
Yeah.
And you're spending all this money and time and effort and probably hormones and
Yes.
all the ups and downs for a woman on that roller coaster.
yeah.
And it just wasn't
it was
happening
tough.
for you.
It was very tough. And that's what I think we said it somewhere else. It was the pandemic. At that point, right before it started, I had totally surrendered to God, and I was just like, God, I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm tired of trying it my way. I'm tired of, putting so much pressure and doing all of this and that. And I was like, if I get pregnant, and those were the words I used, like, if I get pregnant, it's got to be from you.
Totally.
Because I'm done with it. And so that's when we kind of started the pandemic, like doing the TikToks and stuff. And through those moments, that was the transition of me starting to get out of that dark space and starting to laugh again with my husband. So it was kind of like, it was twofold, because it was like, okay, we're doing this for people and helping them. But in the meantime, I'm still laughing again. And like, I'm finding the joy again. And like, so it's just, it's been looking back. It's like God knows he makes no mistakes. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Always.
And he's proven himself faithful every single time.
Every
so it's like
time.
we have no, choice but to trust him at this point, because his record is unbelievable.
Undefeated.
Yeah,
Isn't
undefeated.
It?
Yeah.
Isn't it? It's impeccable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
crazy.
And isn't it amazing even how he can turn such suffering and loss? Because 2 miscarriages every month, like, I'm not pregnant again.
Yeah.
And then you finally get pregnant and you lose 2 babies.
Yeah.
That's suffering.
Yeah.
And he somehow does, it's true. All things somehow end up working
Yeah.
for good, even though while we're in the middle of it.
Yeah.
We can't see how that would possibly be true.
Right.
But then somehow we get on the other side and go, oh,
Yeah.
that is more than a cliche.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we say it all the time. I don't know if you're going to say this or that, but it's just his timing is impeccable. And we know that we've wanted it for so long, but God, at the end of the day, he's going to get the glory no matter what. And he's selfish like that. Like, he wants people to know it was me, that did this. So I think, like, for us, it was all about timing. Like, we got the platform and then we got pregnant naturally. So it's like, how many more people can you affect with the message of, if y'all just trust me, then it will happen. And the amount of DMs that we got when people found out that we were pregnant, and like our story, of how we've dealt with infertility, they're like, this isn't talked about enough. Like, everybody just kind of retreats and goes into like their own mode of, I got to figure this out by myself. But it's like, no, you don't. There's community out there for people that are trying, that people, that have these situations happening. So it's kind of just was a relief for many people. And I was like, God, okay, I see what you're doing.
That's
like,
so good.
In that moment, you realize more and more like it's never
not about us.
Yeah.
The things
right.
we deal with is
Never.
about us.
Yeah.
It's about, again, that testimony. Like, we overcome by the blood of the Lamb, the word of our testimony. So everything that happened is a testimony for somebody else.
Isn't that so true?
And so it was like, wow, okay. You're giving us a little glimpse of that bigger picture.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And you're right. We need to talk more about infertility, miscarriages, postpartum depression.
Yeah.
so many hard things that couples go through.
Yeah.
And it can really wreak havoc on their marriage.
Yeah.
So, and I think it's so interesting that you guys, things shifted, priorities shifted. And then you got, you started this fun new career together, which is really about laughter, because laughter is truly healing.
Yes.
Healing to the cells of our bodies. Like thankfulness and gratitude, which I think are very closely connected to fun,
Yeah.
change our brains.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's amazing what that all does for us.
Yeah.
So, and then you get this little gift of a baby girl.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And she's all us.
And she's all you
Yeah.
too.
Literally yesterday, we're playing together, and she has this like inflatable ball, and she watches our
Instagram.
videos,
Yeah.
and she tries to do the one where you have the ball and we spin around, try to keep the ball together.
Yeah.
She grabs the ball with me and she starts to spin around, and she's singing the song like "Hello from," and she's like trying to spin with it. And I'm like, this girl like
Absorbs it all.
absorbs it all, and is watching us. And again, you know how much it shows the role model we are to her, just because she's watching. She'll look through her stuff, giggling. Like she knows what's going on, but then like she does. She's trying to do the skit right
that's
here.
amazing.
It's wild.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that. She's going to be such a little bucket of joy, isn't she?
Already.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Already.
She's awesome.
Well, I love you too.
Oh, we love you.
I love your honesty. I love
Yeah.
how you just bring your humanity to everything you do. It's so refreshing.
Thank you.
Thank you for being human. Honestly, I think it's a huge problem.
Yeah.
Honestly, like we're supposed to somehow be this ideal self.
Yeah.
And have these ideal marriages instead of like, no, we're humans.
Yeah.
And it's messy.
Yep.
It's messy and it's funny. Right? Like God has a huge sense of humor.
Yes.
We are funny creatures.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's all good.
Yeah.
And we're still the apple of his eye.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right?
And
And so
it's something special when you can just sit back and laugh
and enjoy that.
Yeah.
and enjoy it all.
Yeah.
Like even when you look back.
We don't
the
have
fact
to
that we didn't do anything for our honeymoon or something like we
Right.
talked about earlier. You look back like,
Yeah.
that's funny. That's
Right.
hilarious. That
Isn't it
was the
great?
decision we made. But
Yeah.
God is good, and we are here now.
I love that. Ron and I were talking last night we asked each other questions like, how was that first year of marriage for you? Or how was your honeymoon? And, or how was getting married? And we were like, God, our parents were so uptight. We're 18-year-olds getting married. Whoo, they were not happy. Oh
Yeah.
boy. You could have, the tension,
Yeah.
you could have cut it with a knife. Our honeymoon, we kind of like you guys are saying, we went to this so-so place.
Yeah.
Right? It
Yep.
wasn't. But I'm like, you know what? None of it mattered.
Yeah.
All I wanted to do was marry you.
Yep.
And that's all that mattered.
Yep.
And so it wasn't about any of this other stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it's great when we can remember that. Like marriage isn't about all this other stuff. It isn't
Right.
having
Yeah.
the right jobs, the right amount of money, the right house, the right cars, the right kids. It's not about
Yeah. Yeah.
It's about two humans
Yep.
figuring out, hey, how are we going to do this human experiment called marriage together?
Yeah. Yeah.
How are we going to do that?
Yeah.
And then you guys get to create your own art.
Yeah.
Right?
Crazy,
Like
yeah.
you create your own beautiful piece of
Yeah.
art and it's going to be your own thing and it's
Crazy.
going to be your own gorgeousness.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I look back and I think about like our wedding, even our wedding, we spent $2,500. That
Yeah.
was it.
Yeah.
It was like
Yeah.
we
That
had no money at all, but we knew we wanted to do life together.
Yeah.
And so it was like, it wasn't about the dress. It wasn't about,
Yeah.
and
And
any
we were
of
21,
that.
22.
Yeah, it wasn't about any of that. It was like, you're my person. And I knew he was about to move to Oklahoma. And I was like, he said, well, what does that mean? And I said, what do you mean? What does it mean? Like, we have to get married. I'm not
Yeah.
moving without.
I'm coming with you,
know?
baby.
Yeah, I'm coming with you, but I need to be married at the same
Yeah.
time. So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like we were, it's just all that stuff sometimes people get obsessed with.
Oh,
And it's
man.
like, it's not about that
No, it's
at all.
not. It's
But it's
not.
also, I think you say that now, think about how ordained I felt like our
Yeah.
marriage was.
Yeah,
When you talk about
ours
kingdom
too.
marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
when God truly brings two people who know supposed to be together, because the people that even gave it to us and like here the venue $250.
Yeah.
A DJ that said I'll just play for you. A photographer said I'll just shoot pictures for you. Gave us plates and utensils. Like there was tables.
How
We
sweet.
made
Donated.
it work. There's donating to us because they were like, I believe in something. 21, 22, and these are older. They're saying something about y'all. Like I believe in. I want to do my part to bless you guys.
Woo.
Yeah.
I bet they're so glad today they did. I bet they're
They're
like,
awesome
woo, we were right about them.
Out there.
There you go. Well, you guys, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for
I
having us.
hope everybody is on Instagram. You're probably like, are you on TikTok and all the things?
We are.
You're on all the things.
YouTube,
Okay, good.
all-
YouTube, all the things.
Yeah.
Every day with H&K.
Yeah.
Did you guys come up with that? That is too cute.
Oh, did I? I guess so.
I love it.
Long ago.
Hope has always seen us working together.
Yeah.
Like that's been her dream.
I never
For
knew
me,
like
I'm like,
what capacity.
No, I don't want to work with
Yeah.
you. I know how.
Yeah.
I know how you work. I don't want to do that.
I'm
But-
administrative where he's like different. Yeah.
So, but here we
I
are.
always saw it, but I never knew what capacity it would be
Yeah.
in. So now that I see it, I'm like, oh yeah, this it doesn't feel like work at
No.
the end of the day. 'cause
You're
it's like
playing
we're just-
together.
yeah.
And it really work should be our play.
Yeah.
And I think it came was like we're just doing everyday life. So it was
Yeah.
like it's us. It's every day with H&K.
Every day
Yeah.
with H&K.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, friends, if you haven't been watching and listening and checking out this amazing couple, please do. They will bring so much joy into your life. And the world's gotten way too serious. Not that we're going to avoid all the seriousness. We're not. But you have to have a balanced life to have a happy life. So please let them into your life and add joy to your life because we all need it. So love you all. Thank you for joining us today. And I hope you'll go out and spread some joy.